Eyes down for the Good morning, folks. I've got a new toy. I'll let you know how good these are. Broken tap removal tools. Not very expensive, but essential to get that 2BA tap out of that corkscrew that I broke last week. So there you go. So we will give them a test when Andy comes back with the corkscrew, and we will see if we can get it out. I don't know what to say. I don't know whether I've got a lot of confidence in them or not. But there you go. They came from the usual suspects. So what have we here? Here we have basic circuit transistors. Old transistors. This is old technology, folks. This is a multi-vibrator, right, which basically it's a circuit. When you put a voltage into it, it emits a square wave, or it goes beep, so you can use it as a signal injector, right, which is what I want for testing this amplifier. But unfortunately this multi-vibrator doesn't vibrate, and having come back here and found my capacitance meter, which is what I wanted to take over the weekend but didn't, I have tracked the fact that these two capacitors, which are the old Hunts type, waxed it, but they are ex-military because they've got the military style code on them, right, are way out of capacitance. They're way out. I'm gonna take them out of circuit just to super check them, but these capacitors are always dodgy. I mean, they're so old. These are probably World War II or just after, right? As is that one, but that one's actually within. That's pretty much spot on. I was horrified about these transistors, right? These are. Let me get this right. Are they NPN or PNP? I can't remember, but for now I'll say you normally make a multivibrator with one particular type of transistor. These are the other sort, which you can make a multivibrator with, but you've got to reverse the polarity, because the PNP or NPN states the direction of current flow through the emitter. Base emitter, I think it's base emitter. Anyway, this is the other type of transistor. You can make a multivibrator out of it, but the circuitry is slightly different. It's turned on its head. And the first thing I noticed about this when I looked at it and checked it was it didn't make sense. And I thought, well, he's got the output, that's the square wave output, which I've got connected to a little speaker, little sounder. He's got it connected to the wrong place. He had it connected to the plus volts rail, and I've connected it to the emitter. Sorry, to the collector, which is where it should be, I think. Or should it be to the emitter? I can't remember. Anyway, I've got circuit diagrams. I've checked this out. All my blandishments and persuasions over the weekend failed to make it sound a peep. So I brought it back. The annoying thing is that when I was first interested in electronics in probably the 70s, I built myself a little signal injector, which was one of those long brown plastic pill bottles with a probe sticking out the end and a button in the top and a fly lead with a crocodile clip. And you just went through the circuit, stuck it on the thing, pressed the button, and if it went beep, you got a circuit to that point. And I can't find it. It got broken, it got chucked in a box, and it's down there somewhere, but I cannot, find it. I'm going to have a good sort out today and see if I can get it, if I ever get round to it. It's a busy day today, it's a busy day tomorrow. Today I've got to see if they've got the cap on the chimney and get the boiler lit and make sure the central heating's alright, and also get the wood that's stacked up there and get it brought down here and cut up and see how dry it is. And then tomorrow I've got the lady coming at 8 o'clock in the morning to do the energy certificate, EPC, energy something certificate over there for the property, so it's all go this week. So here's the Marantz. Much more complicated than the Pioneer, but you would expect so because they were also a lot more expensive. Much cleaner than the Pioneer, and everything on it works except the phono input. So at some time during the week, I brought this here, and at some time during the week I'm going to lace it up to a pair of speakers, switch it on and see if it works, see if I can get a peep out of it. But that's a job for the future. So what else have I got to do this week? Well, I was thinking, get these done. I've had somebody inquire about this already. Get these jaws made. Andy's tricycle has sat in that corner for God knows how long, and all it wants is some bits of rod cutting and welding. And I'm thinking that what I maybe ought to do is just crack on with it and get it done. Just get it done, and then you can take it away. Then I've also got this to crack on with, to get that bit I've set up in the lathe bored out, ready to put a new shaft in it, and I've got to mill the new shaft. The only thing that's stopping me getting on with all these jobs is getting the house let. I've got to get that sorted. She's moving in a lot more furniture on Tuesday, but she's still not ready to move in fully. But she's going to start paying the rent on the 6th, so that's cool. I get some of my money back. I'm pointing you at that steam cleaner. I've fallen out with that steam cleaner. Look at this. That's a huge foot off probably off a hydraulic support leg off a lorry or something, and it was laying in the middle of the road, and Michael spotted it, and there was a vehicle coming up fast, and he pointed at the vehicle and pointed at this thing laying in the middle of the road, and instead of driving round it, the bloke hit it, and it flew out the road and bounced off the wall right next to Michael, nearly hit him. So he brought it up. So making an ideal jack nose, wouldn't it? On there. Right, I'm going to stop waffling and get on with some work now, because first thing I've got to do is go up to the house and get this wood down and get it sawn up. So I'll do that and I'll bring you back. Right folks, sharpening a chainsaw. First job before you start cutting with a chainsaw is always sharpen it. This is how I do it. Mark a tooth, and then you set your file. You need a small round file, which is the proper file that fits the chain. You cannot do it with any old round file. So you put it into the tooth, you put it at the angle of the front of the tooth, or sometimes there's a little line cut across the middle of the tooth that gives you a guide angle, and you go. And that's generally all that's needed. 3 strokes on each tooth. Move to the next tooth. Move to the next tooth, and so on. And when your mark comes around again, you swap sides and you do the same to the teeth that face the other way. Now it may be that you do this and the blade still won't cut, and you can't understand it because they're all sharp. What you have to do then is, in between the teeth are height guides which stop the saw digging in too deep. And as you sharpen the blade and the blade wears, those height guides need filing down just a little bit to make the saw cut in a bit deeper. bit damaged. How big that for? And there we are, back at the marked tooth again. Then you take it out the vise, turn it round, and repeat on the teeth that face the opposite way. So I mean, some people don't bother turning it round. Some people just move the body position. I prefer to turn it round. So we'll start there again, next to the marked tooth. That's two facing in the same direction. That's hit somewhat. And you just keep on. Always making sure that the file is at the angle of the front of the tooth, like that. Always file that way across the tooth so that you're filing off the cutting edge, not onto the cutting edge. And there we are, back at the marked tooth again. Job done. She saws like a good one. I'm not showing you me chainsawing by myself because I might take my leg off and then it'd be a horror show, wouldn't it? Well, that's that pile reduced to wet and dry and bagged up, and the wet is wet. I mean, that was actually alive. That, as you can see, was dead. That one next to it was dead, so that's quite light. These are bits that will go in my wood burner with both doors open, which are like burls and roots, which won't go in the small one, so I'll burn them. And these, they'll go in. That will go. I've just cut that face in half, look, with that tiny little electric chainsaw. A sharp chainsaw. It's a Black & Decker. It's a piece of plastic crap. It goes like a Trojan. You really can't complain about that, can you? Now I'm knackered, so I'm going to have a sit down. Right, folks, I got a lot of people last week commenting on the fact that I gave a bit of the backstory to Taylor's Foundry. This is the old fire door off one of the original boilers that heated the chapel, which is now Mike's workshop. And there you can see Taylor's Limited, Driffield, 1968. And I think that is, I don't know what RW will be. It could be the check mark of the guy that laid the pattern, or it could be something else. But I know that they used to cast all sorts of things. For instance, one of the houses I lived in some long time ago had a fireside cast iron fireside, which was made by Clark's of Driffield, or at least it had a cast iron plaque on it that said Clark's of Driffield, but of course Clark's didn't make it. It would have been cast in Taylor's foundry, and it would have had a Clark's badge attached to it, right, which made it their own, if you like. But this is the actual foundry, people. So there you go. I shall talk a bit more about this at various times in the future. Good morning, folks. I've got a new toy. As long as I don't walk too fast, it follows me all over the workshop. As I come back to the bench, well, isn't that amazing? Sometimes technology is really good until it stops working. Right, it is, believe it or not, only just 2 hours past a freckle, 9:32. I've been here since 7:45. The lady came today to do the EPC for the house, the Energy Performance Certificate. She was in the door at 3 minutes to 8 and she was out the door at 8:37. 75 quid. 150 quid an hour. Not nice work if you can get it. Right, I'm going to set up on the bench. What shall I do? What shall I do? I'll tell you what we'll do. I think I'll get those vice jaws cut, and we'll mill those vice jaws and get those done. Get that little job done. Okay. See you later. Some gratuitous Rapidor action. Move the mat the camera's standing on. I can still see it. Wonderful, right, I'll go and get on with something else. Lovely. No, I can manage it this. Job done, folks. What a view over the village. We're going down again. Oh, back to terra firma. We're up at the house, folks. She's a light. But the pump. Oh, maybe it is running. Maybe it is running. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I might have to take this out again and just have a look at the pump. These things are sent to triers. Well, folks, I just got started. My phone rang and Mike shouts, "Oh, they're coming to put the chimney cap on." So I rode up in the basket, put the chimney cap on, got it all sorted, got the bloke out the road end and back down to his works again. Came back down here, got some kindling, went back up, lit it and turned it on. And it's now warm in the house and running beautifully. So, in a minute, I'm going to carry on with this. But first, I'm going to go down to Michael's and refill my coffee cup because I feel in need of a drink. I've just been moving furniture and I'm knackered. So, I got ½ inch down there and had to rush away. Now I'll start again. So on. could do this another way. And I think I might. Because I've got a large face mill. And I could do this with the face mill. That's not a bad finish actually. That's not a bad finish, but I'm having to go over it twice. And this milling cutter is not superbly sharp, being an ex-school one, but I think I'll just set that. I'll set my face mill up and I'll bring you back. Here we go, folks. What's that, mate? Lovely finish. Needs a bit more off. Let's take another cut off. Lovely. And so on and so forth. That's a decent finish. Right. Invertez-vous. Now there were some people who would have said, well, you should have welded them together. And I heartily concur. That's what people do when they're making jars. But me being controversial, I didn't. I didn't weld them together. That one clean up. That goes there like that. That goes there like that. Check, check, check. Yes. Yes. Milkshake. Or as Thor would say, Mjolnir. Right, let us now wind back and see what sort of yes, we're clear there, as you would expect. So it's rough old mild steel bar is this. It's not anything fancy, it's not EN8. This mill is metric. It never fails to confuse me. And it's a little drama. Yeah, just taking another cut off there. I'm easing my way into this milling machine carefully because whilst I did a lot of lathe work at at school and at places I've worked, Jefferson's among one or two, I've done very little milling, and so jobs like this where you're stretching the envelope, I tend to go a bit steady. So let's put on a cut. We don't need much more off, to be honest. Let's try that. Phone call, folks. Off we go again. Right way through. Good to me. Right, now I'll see if I can do the faces. I don't know if that face was quite going to be wide enough. I'll bring you back in a bit. Well, it's all phone calls today. I've just started to film there and another phone call came in. Right, that's them in, and I've just got one of my punches and marked the screw holes. One of my transfer punches and marked the screw holes. So the next thing to do is to see if I can find some nice countersunk Allen screws, just to make it knobby. I'll see what I've got. I'll just put you back in the tripod for a rest, and I'll go and have a search. Old drilling. Drilling old. Ready to go.
It's a broad spectrum music really, but sort of my heart is very much for the Oasis and the Beatles and that sort of indie sort of style music, Stone Roses, etc.
better.
His birthday today. Here he is doing lead vocals on one of the band's huge 1979 hits.
What?
Can you name it, please?
Not 100% on this one. Is it called for cats?
Indeed. What's cool for cats? And we're 100% so far. 4 points. Give me the title of the 1985 Top 10 collaboration between Eurythmics and Aretha Franklin.
There must be an angel.
You get yourself when I say that, listeners are doing it for themselves.
I hope you can see what I'm doing and you're not just getting a picture of the blue clad elbow. Finish with engines. Jobbed. Tapping. Oh, forgot my lube. Feels good. Feels good. I don't like this tap wrench. No feel to it. It's one of those nasty aluminium ones. I think we're going to change tap wrenches straight away. That's one done. That's one done. The rest are just the same. Right folks, here's an example. I am using a much bigger tap wrench, and some people would say, oh, you'll break the tap. I think you're a lot less likely to break a tap with a big tap wrench as you are with a small one, because with a small one you're always arriving at it, and when you arrive at it you tend to twist the tap. That's gone through there beautifully. There we go. Two down, two to go. M8 by 1.25. And there we are folks, another little job finished. That can now I can now sit down and update my Facebook page and say that the vice jaws are back now in. I shall take a picture of it and do that right now. Wobble wobble. Right folks, it's home time. Whether I shall make any use of this thing or do any good with it, I don't know. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. It's like having somebody else filming me. See you all tomorrow. Bye now. Well folks, as you can see, I've set up to repair this amplifier. Got me runs too fast record deck and a pair of speakers onto it, and I've connected it all up, and I realise that I've left the service manual at Driffield, so I've got a lot of test points I can go through to pick up voltages, and the first one I went to, which I don't know, but it appears to be the feed to the cartridge preamplifier, which is the first stage of the amplifier after the source switch. And there appears to be a voltage there, but it appears to be about nearly 20 volts, which is a mite high, I would have thought, but this is old technology, so I don't really know. So I shall continue with this when I remember to bring the service manual with me, probably tomorrow. So in the meantime, for the rest of the day, because it's late, because I had a late start today and I've been doing other stuff, and I've been up at the house sorting out a few bits and pieces up there, but that's done now, and they're getting on, and the heating is on, the wood burner is well, not blazing away, it's nicely ticking over, the whole house is warm, it's lovely. So that's one good thing. I got called up there this morning because there was very little water coming out of the hot tap in the sink. When I got there, the hot tap in the sink was actually the cold tap, because I got the tops mixed up, and it was caused by the stop tap not being fully on. It's very high water pressure at that house, and if you turn the stop tap fully on, you turn the tap on and it covers you with water. So I'll put it a little bit more pressure on, but everything else is working fine. There's hot water coming out of the taps for the first time in ages. So there you go. Right, what shall I do? I shall have to look for another job now. Mind you, I'm not short of them around here. Hello folks. I'm still struggling with this amplifier. I've managed to get I've got it on the screen. I've got the manual on the screen. And the first thing I come across is that the preamp for the phono side is, according to the manual, it's Q401 and Q403 on the circuit board. On the circuit board it's Q401 and Q402. So that caused confusion until I realised that that's actually a misprint. It's quite clear on this circuit board, and it's quite clear on the schematic that they are the two preamplifiers. It's just a misprint in the manual. So it's really great when you start off with the service manual getting it wrong, isn't it? The thing is with this, obviously stereo inputs from the tuner, two preamps, right, neither of which seem to be working, which leads me to two conclusions. Either the power supply's gone over voltage and blown up both of them, or it's a switching fault and the signal's either not getting to the preamps or not getting through the switching where you, the source switching basically. But I'm going to carry on tinkering because it's about what I'm up to today. I had a really long day yesterday. I had the lady there to do the energy performance certificate at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was backwards and forwards all day, and I was knackered, and I'm still a bit dodgy. So I shall continue to tinker, and I'll see what happens. Okay. Morning folks. Thursday, and this is in abeyance. I need to do some more research on that, and once again I've forgotten to bring the service manual, but that doesn't matter. Today I'm going to crack on with this clutch bell for the go-kart, for the Jaguar D-type replica, if you like. I've got the steel, and I'm going to just have a measure up, take some dimensions, overall length, projection inside, length of thread, etc., and then set to and start making it. It shouldn't be a big job. Famous last words. Right, a piece of paper. Just a minute. What's that? That'll do. There we are. Let's take some dimensions. Right folks, so what we have here in the Colchester is a piece of steel that I've just picked out of the junk pile, which happens to have the right thread already on it, 1/2 inch BSF, and is just over size. I've just had another measure at the bush in the other half of the clutch, and it actually needs to be, I don't know whether the bush is warm, but measuring the original shaft, it is actually slightly larger than the piece of steel I had. So I'm going to go ahead with this. There's just enough metal on here for me to get to turn the whole length of it, holding it by the stub at the other end. But I'm going to put a centre in to make sure that it's concentric before I start. So I'm going to crack on with that. Right, let's have a centre in and bring it out to put that back in its little pot. Take that out. Put that in. Come out onto the stove. And see how we can do. Looks pretty good to me. Yep. Right. I now need to investigate a different lathe too. I'll bring you back when I get one sorted. There we go, folks. Go back to the old fashioned lump of two steel. Well, lump of high speed steel. It's doing the job I need. In a tool. Oh, strike match finish. Yes, we're gonna have to play with that, see, to get it right. That's better, folks. I've settled for, once again, the tools I always end up going back to is brace carbide, because they just work. They just work. You never have to, you know. If you have to sharpen them, it's ever so minimal. If you have to just put an edge back on, if you're really clumsy and you jam one into a piece of work and chip it, you can just grind it back. But it's always a minimal amount. And much better. Still not a perfect finish, but much better. I will demonstrate. Let's put another cut on. And let's put I need to get some more cutting on. The last job I did, I needed a cutting on the milling machine, so I robbed it out the lathe and put it in the milling machine, which is a sort of daft thing to do. You should just go and buy some more. There you are. That's cutting really well. Very nice. And so on and so forth until we get down to 6 to 8 or thereabouts. Don't actually need cutting line with carbide. Still a bit strike match, but it's much better. I've got a feeling this is just a bit of tough steel, because I know when I've had another lump of it and I've threaded it before, and it was tough to thread. It's got a perfect BSF thread, 1/2 inch BSF on that end, but it was hard to thread. It was, you know, it took some graft. Right, let's have a look, see how we're doing. Top millimeters. .738, and we want 632, 631, 632-ish. So we've got another 100 thou to come off. So let's take off another 10 thou cut, 20 thou aside, as I'm always saying. Start single pointing the thread, but when I looked at it, there's only 1/2 inch of it and it's very tight up to a shoulder, so I thought, well, there isn't really room for a gutter. So I thought, I'll just turn it and I'll put the dial. And then of course I thought, I measured up, and the piece of steel that I'd planned on using was actually undersized for the bearing. And I thought, right, let's have it right. And so on and so forth. I'll bring you back when I'm nearly there. This should be about the final cut. Certainly a lot better finish. Not perfect, a lot better. I might have to make a new brush for that clutch because it's obviously quite badly worn. And I've got some phosphor bronze. Measure up at.
This afternoon's weather, variable cloud for most, with sunny spells and some showers, which will be heaviest in parts of Wales, drier towards the east, and highs of 16 Celsius in London and 15 in Belfast.
6:46.
That's the BBC News.
And this is about 6:31.
Such a great conversation about falling asleep everywhere.
No, it's not.
In this hour, a third of British farmers made a loss last year.
Yes, it is. 6:31.
What is going on? Are they not getting
6:31.
We're going to meet our own Sarah Cole.
6:31.
Bullied in school and party.
That's 6:47. So let's take another 5 thou cut, 10 thou aside. Funny noise is the headstock. I mean, it's always made it, but it's ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Could be the input pulley. As I know the input pulley is worn, right? Nice bit of cloth. Yeah, that's an acceptable finish for rough engineering. You know me. $641. Right. And this is 631, isn't it? And what is the bearing? Bearing is 623. Just see if I think I've got a spare bearing actually. Let me just go and get one. Right, there we go folks, the bearing's on. It's still a little tight, so I'm probably going to just emery tape it. That's it. Just give it a quick polish up with some emery tape and we'll call that done. I'm going to try, I've left this end large, I'm going to try and leave this end large and see if we can compensate for the wear in the bush. If we can't, I'll just make a new bush. But there you go, I'm just trying to save hassle and faffing about. Well folks, that's about as far as I can go with that because I haven't got a milling cutter and I haven't got a 5C collet. I want a 5/8 5C collet, so I'm going to have to go home and order some bits and pieces tonight. But sorted. It's a lot better than it was. We're getting there. And I'm also having a look at the old tricycle project to see if I can get that bashed together. Maybe tomorrow. So it's home time. It's dark outside. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now. Afternoon folks, Friday, and I've just been tinkering with this, and after a lot of careful measuring I've decided I was right. It's actually, this slot is 3.5mm, and I do have one little milling cutter that is 3.5mm. I was looking at these slots carefully and it looks like they might have been cut with a slitting saw because they curve up at the end. But I haven't got a slitting saw of a small enough diameter to do that, so I don't need them anywhere near as long as they are on there. I could work with half that depth, right? So I think I'll have a go at milling them. But until my 5/8 collet comes, I can't do that. So I'm going to go and do something else. I'm going to tinker with something else. I've actually just been tinkering with this for no apparent reason. And I looked up the company that make it. It's Bonham & Turner. High speed grinding spindle, air operated, air goes in there. Standard 3/4 inch mount for a capstan lathe, capstan tool post, whatever you want to call it. Beautiful piece of engineering. 40 maximum speed is 45,000 RPM. It takes 80 to 200 psi. And it's got a serial number on it. I can't show you it because it's actually, can you see that there? It's very faint. Bonham & Turner Mansfield, when we used to make things. Oh God, I'm on that bent again. When we used to make stuff that was worth making. Bonham & Turners are still in business, but not making anything like this anymore. There you go. Right, onward. Let's do something else. So what are we on with? Well, we're on with a rethink of the whole go-kart system. The way we had it, the way we were doing it before was a mishmash of ideas that weren't working. They just simply weren't working. That looks better there. Now, what I'm thinking of doing is putting another piece of steel in there, welding that to the motor plate, and then taking the bearing plate, which I have over here, taking off these two pieces of box section because they're wrong, and then welding another piece, an angle piece on the bottom. I hope you can see can you see what I'm doing there? Just a minute. There we are. Welding an angle piece, taking these off, welding a flat piece on the bottom with two gussets, well, with some little gussets because the clutch fits right there. So with some gussets to stop it flexing, and then bolting it to there, directly to there. So, in the interest of doing that, I shall remove this this weld from here. I shall remove this fantastic welding I've done in here. I should have just tacked it, shouldn't I? And we'll go from there. Good luck. Good luck.
We were going to force it, and about 9 months before we made any plans for it, I decided
Good luck. part of my friend Richard would say, if at first you don't succeed, give up. I would say, if at first you don't succeed, tear it all to pieces and start again. Which is what I'm doing with this, because once it's gone wrong, and you know it's gone wrong, then adding to it only makes it worse. And that's what we've been trying to do, but not anymore. Success, folks! These little one-milled slitting saws, amazing. And they cost peanuts for what they do. They do a fantastic job. Look at that. Off. Sliced off cleanly. That box section is so perfect I could use it again. But I won't. Never mind. I may not even use this plate. I may make another. But for now, I'll just clean that up a little bit. For now, we're almost back to rights.
Which is Bathgate and woodburner, so about 45 minutes of queues.
Feel creativity.
Diesels for living well.
I'm beginning to get out of the doldrums.
And number 8 only open though now junction 2 for the Darrant turn, the A2. Salisbury
Will
A36
probably be
will
hot.
just about get through, but it's partly
There we
blocked.
are.
College roundabout.
Ripped from the living metal.
M2 eastbound exits
A
that
piece
partly
of
blocked
steel
for Chatham at junction
to
3.
fit.
And then finally it's flooding for Pembrokeshire and Tenby. Now the A4139
To fit.
is closed at the Swan Lake Inn, which is
There.
the Jamestown turn. And I shall have more for you in about
Like
30
that.
minutes.
Thanks, Jules.
Lovely. Right. Let's carry on. Let's get the car in here and get some welding done. Right, folks, and after a furious half hour of furious bodging, there we go. We're beginning to look more like. Now what I'm going to do is get some of this fairly hefty plate, cut a strip of it and weld it to the bottom of this plate here so that it acts as an angle iron, and we can then slide it backwards and forwards and decide where we're going to drill holes to fix it. But basically that is looking a lot better than it was, and all I've really done is put that piece of metal in there just to fill that corner so that we can support it properly. Now I can weld a piece all the way along the bottom, and if necessary we can, to tension the chain, we can just put shims underneath it. So there we go. We have unstuck the job. I'm still waiting for me 5/8 collet to put the new shaft in, and then I shall mill 4 slots in it. When I've got my 5 collets I can put it in my 5C square collet block, and then I can index it round 4 sides and put 4 slots in it to fit the gear, to fit that gear. This is the old shaft which is bent, right? I've also managed to get 2 bearings on instead of 1. That needs finessing yet, but 2 bearings is better than 1 because it gives it some more axial support. These bearings are, what do they call them? The centre race floats, and you can, it's to take up angular inaccuracy, right? It's off an Atco lawnmower, so as you can imagine, right? But I can use 2 Atco bearings, right, and give the whole shaft more support so that it won't, get it right way around, so that it won't move like that so much, or if at all. We're still a bit making silk purse out of sows here, because not only is it lawnmower, it's used lawnmower. So the clutch fit on the shaft isn't brilliant, but we have to live with it, and it's aluminium, so I can't weld it and rebore it. I could bush it, I suppose, but it'd be a matter of getting it to run concentric. So there you go. So we've made a step forward. If you like, we've advanced to tech level. That was a good game. Right, folks, the witching hour has arrived. It's Friday, it's 5 o'clock, and it's nearly time for crackerjack. So I'm going home. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We're picking up lots of new subscribers. Welcome aboard, chaps. And send me a like, send me a comment, and I'll see you all next week with more progress, I hope. Bye now.